Hi, welcome to this special series where we are going to learn about how one of our recent alumni completed the process of publishing her first children's book. My name is Claudia Rinaldi, and I'm chair of the education program. And I'll introduce our other two guest speakers today. So, Professor Baldassar, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Professor Deborah Baldassar, Assistant Professor of Art here at LaSalle in the School of Communication and the Arts.
And our alumni, who is our author of the day today, as she becomes our first guest speaker in this series. So, Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Green. I just graduated from LaSalle University with a major in early childhood education, and I just completed my first children's book.
Wonderful, Caitlin. So thank you for letting us interview you and get into your brain a little bit and see how the motivation came to do this fabulous book and what the process was like. So we'll ask you a couple questions, and you could tell us a little bit about how that happened, and hopefully my goal is to encourage other students to follow in your footsteps. So what motivated the creation of your first children's book called Just Imagine?
So starting out, I definitely knew right away that I wanted to do a wordless picture book, just based on my experiences working with students in the classroom at LaSalle, working at the Barn, which is a preschool on campus, and also through my practicum experiences, working in kindergarten, working with these young students that are learning how to read. Oftentimes, these students would ask me to read them a story, and definitely it's always beneficial for educators and parents and adults to read stories to children as they're learning to read. But I often found myself wondering what the story would sound like if students told the story from their own perspective, just looking at the pictures.
You're good.
It's wonderful that you share that, because there's an approach in education called the language experience approach, which is a way to get students to really create their own stories from what we show them. So wordless books are a perfect introduction to getting students to talk about. And the fact that you had that experience with the children at the Barn is wonderful to know. What is the connection, if you could tell us a little bit about more to using this book in the classroom, and how do you plan to use it?
I plan to use this in the classroom, working with students. I think the biggest thing is that this book can be used at any developmental level, and it can be used in any language as well. So you can use it at any grade level, and with students at all support levels, all needs, and any student that can speak any other language. So I plan to use it in the classroom with all students. I think that was the biggest thing for me, that I wanted all students to be able to use it. And yeah, definitely you can, use it verbally. You can write down your ideas. There's some blank pages in the book. If you want to write there, you can write on a blank piece of paper that you have in front of you. You can really use it in so many ways, and I think that's the biggest thing about this book. I mean, there's also an option for students to draw. So I think just being able to use it in so many different ways in the classroom is what is really going to be beneficial for this book.
I agree. And, it's interesting, the title that you gave it, Just Imagine, because for Spanish speakers, it's an easy word for them to know, because it's called, cognate. It sounds almost the same, imagine and imaginar. So I love that you mentioned that you would use it with students in their own language, and, embracing the asset that they bring of speaking it in their own language, even if you don't know it, and then have Google Translate use it for you, right? And then I also love the idea of beginning to connect the reading to the writing, and what you said around the blank pages, and the idea of getting them to think about where they could go next. So I think you showed a picture with a little bubble where they would write or color their own page to create their own story. I think this was it, right?
Yep.
So that was very creative. So tell us about where your creative process came from.
So like I said, I definitely knew that I wanted to do a wordless picture book, but I didn't have an idea at all. So when I first came to Professor Baldassar, that was where I was at. I just knew that I wanted to do a wordless picture book. And we started to go through this process of, okay, what do you want the students to do? What do you want them to learn? Where do you want the book to go? And I think starting with that goal in mind of where I wanted to take it was definitely helpful. As far as illustrations go, I knew I wanted to test out watercolor just because I had never really used it before. I'm very used to pencil drawings and acrylics. So that was something different. I just wanted to explore different art medias and try out different things. And yeah, I think the hedgehog idea came from actually something that my mom uses in her classroom. She has a stuffed animal hedgehog that she uses to help students read. She has students read to this hedgehog. So connecting those two ideas between this hedgehog and books, that was something that first sparked the idea.
Wonderful. Your mom must be very proud of you, and she must be very excited to start using your book next year, right?
Definitely.
Wonderful. Professor Balthasar, can you tell us a little bit about what the conversation was like and how you helped her through the process? I know I wouldn't know where to start. And this just came together so beautifully that I would love to know so that our students can all learn, or anybody who's viewing this video, what the process was like for her.
Sure. So I've known Caitlin for 4 years, and we first met in Art for Educators course, and she was so talented then. And then this past her senior year in the fall, she took a ceramics class with me. And toward the end of the class, she came to me and said, I have one more honors component to do, and I would like to make a wordless picture book. Would you be interested in working on it with me and helping me through the process? And I have to say, Caitlin, I was so honored and a little taken aback because I'm not an author or a published illustrator, but I'm an artist, and the creativity behind this was so exciting. So I said, of course, I'm happy to help in any way. So at first we sat down, we talked about her idea, and then I said, what I think I can offer you is a timeline. We kind of created deadlines for the book and talked about what we wanted and what she wanted the end product to be. At first we thought, oh, it will just be one book that she'll publish through Snapfish or one of those online book making places. But then we talked to another professor and she said, do it through Amazon, and then they'll publish it, and then you just pay the cost of the book, and then everybody else could have access to it. So we met weekly and went from the very beginning stages to this amazing book that we have in our hands today.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Caitlin, last thing I think I want to know that I wanted to ask you was there any other courses aside from working with Professor Baldassar and the Arts for Educators course that you took your first year? What other courses or experiences did you have that really continue to have that little seed that you had that first year to create this children's book? And then what would you recommend for other students that are thinking about the same idea or a similar one?
Definitely, I think all of the classes that I took with Professor Maynard surrounding literacy and early literacy, I learned a lot in those classes, and I think that's what really sparked my interest in early literacy and being able to use children's books in the classroom as a learning tool.
Wonderful. And what advice do you have for other students that are thinking that this could be their dream, again, to have one day a book published?
I think definitely, make note of all of the ideas that you have. It's a very long process, but all of the ideas that you have come together, and I don't know, it's such a fun process to do. I definitely recommend it to anyone that's thinking about doing it. I didn't think that I would be doing it, honestly. Coming into this year, I had the idea, but I had no idea how the process would go. And once you start doing it and you start figuring it out, it becomes so much easier and real and exciting, and it's a great process.
Good. Well, thank you, Kaylin. I know that in the next couple of weeks, you'll be doing a read aloud using the book with some of your students. And I know that you're also sharing this book with the classroom that you worked during your full practicum this year, which is very sweet of you. And I'm sure your mom will also be able to use the book. So we want to congratulate you on the intention and then the actual execution of creating the book and the process, for looking to whatever inspiration you needed to get you there, which is something that sometimes we feel that we're alone in things, but reaching out to Professor Balthazar and thinking about the ideas from your courses and your experiences with children really do come together to create products like that. So we look forward to part 2, which would be your read aloud, and we'll put that on Facebook as well. And then I know before we started this, you said you had other ideas for other books already. So we look forward for you to keep in touch with us so that we can continue to highlight them and share them with our community. And of course, if you're interested in buying Kaylin's book, it's on Amazon. It's called Just Imagine and is by Caitlin Grain. And she has a wonderful dedication and recommendation of how reading aloud to young children and emerging readers is a valuable and necessary experience for all of them. So she also provides that guide for anyone who wants to use it in a classroom. Professor Balthazar, did you have anything else that you would like to add?
I would just recommend that everyone who's interested in doing this, do it. Find somebody that inspires you, that can serve as a mentor and a sounding board for your ideas. And then just don't give up, even when it seems challenging. Reach out for help, because your professors are here to help, and it's such an honor. It was such an honor to work with you, Caitlin. I'm so proud of you.
Wonderful. And Caitlin, any last comment that you want to say, or anything that you want to share with us?
I just hope that everyone is able to enjoy the book and be able to use it with others. That's really what the goal was.
Well, I think you already have met that goal. I know both of us have read it, and we are so excited to share it. And we've loved it already. So thank you so much for sharing this with us, and thank you for allowing us to interview you today.
Thank you.